Meru was sent out during the impeachment proceedings at the County Assembly of Meru. So I would want to know whether there is a proof to that effect, because I have seen the pleadings and submissions that have been made. If Mr. Ndegwa and the team, the youthful councils, could provide. Mr. Speaker, the second point is whether the councils, in case the governor was invited to appear before the county assembly, whether there were any communication to that effect, where she got the receipt of that appearance, and whether it was confirmed. So, Speaker, finally, to the councils of the county assembly through you, whether there is any evidence that was tabled before the Meru County Assembly to challenge the motion of impeachment, because that is where the charges are aired, and Senate is either to upheld or not the charges that have been done at the County Assembly, whether there is any evidence to challenge, whether there was an evidence to challenge the motion of impeachment against Meru Governor at the County Assembly. So, Speaker, and finally, there was an argument over the Office of the Auditor General report, where the reading of the Constitution and the feeling of some of members, Mr. Speaker, through you, felt that the fact that the OAG has generated a report, the Office of the Auditor General, can it be quoted as a legal document, or can it be used persuasive in any of the pleadings or any case that is before the House? So I would want to know the opinion of Mr. Ndegwa and the County Assembly and the Youthful Council, whether that one can be taken into consideration. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The appearance is as before for the County Assembly. We are greatly humbled for granting us a further opportunity to urge our case as before you. We do not take it for granted that the Senate creates time for that particular engagement. We are greatly humbled. In response to the inquiry by my learned friend, Mr. Chergei, the Senator, I refer you to Volume 4 of the County Assembly documents, where we have the index and description of the document that we have filed. At page 55, if Honorable Senators, you are with me, at page 55 of Volume 4 of the bundles by the County Assembly, you find a notification of the impeachment motion dated 31st July. This notification was issued by Honorable Zipporah Kinya, MCA, and the Deputy Majority Leader. It was addressed to Her Excellency the Governor, Honorable Kawira. It was notifying her of the pending proceedings before the County Assembly. Of course, Honorable Senators, permit me to indicate to you that this was pursuant to Honorable Lady Justice Cherere findings in Meru's High Court in the first impeachment, that the mover ought to notify personally to the intended respondent, who is the governor. Equally well, at page 56 of the same document, Volume 4, Honorable Senator, my learned friend Mr. Chergei, page 4, Volume 4, page 55, which you've just dealt with. We are now turning to page 56, where you find a letter from the County Assembly of Meru, the Office of the Speaker. The letter is dated 31st of July The same is addressed to Her Excellency the Governor, Honorable Kawira. It's an invitation to respond and appear before the County Assembly for the removal from office of the Governor of Meru County pursuant to the motion. The same was prepared by the county, by Ayub Bundi, who is the Speaker, and it was duly served upon the Governor, where she acknowledged receipt by stamping on the said document on the same date, 31st July, at 4:16 p.m. The same was supported by an affidavit of service. The first one is dated the 31st of July. Honorable Senators, you find that at page 59 of the same bundle. It is deponed by one Benson Kenywa Ngure, who is a duly licensed process server and equally an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. At paragraph 2, 3, 4, and 5, he deposes how he effected service at the office of the Governor. Of most interest is paragraph 2, where he says that on the 31st July, I was instructed to serve Her Excellency the Governor of Meru County, Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, with an invitation to respond and appear before the County Assembly via letter dated 31st July 2024, reference as MCA/JC/1 volume 1/24, together with the hard copies of the late notice of motion by Honorable Zipporah Kinya, seeking the removal from the office of the Governor of Meru County by way of impeachment. That letter, Honorable Senators, referred thereto or therein is the letter that you find at page 56 of the said document. That is what Mr. Benson is deposing to have served. Equally well, Honorable Senators, at page 64 of the said document, you find another affidavit of service deponed by Joel Maitehia Mturukonga. He deposes at paragraph 2 that on 31st July, I received a copy of the notice of motion for the removal from office of the Governor of Meru County by impeachment from Zipporah Kinya, and the deputy leader of the majority party, County Assembly of Meru, with instructions to effect service upon Her Excellency, the Governor of Meru County, Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, and the Speaker of the Speaker of the County Assembly. He says that he proceeded on the same day at around 4:17 p.m. at the office of the Governor. I served the aforementioned document to Frida, the Secretary to the Governor, Meru County, by attending the copy there to her and recording her signature at my principal copy. This is clear evidence that there was effective service. The question is whether there was response and whether there was attendance from the Governor. She will be telling us in our cross-examination whether she did attend. And that answers the first and the second issue, whether there was communication, whether there was evidence that there was tabled to challenge the notice. There was no correspondence and all pleadings that was filed before our clients challenging or responding to the invitation and challenging the notice of impeachment. We are not aware of one. The impeachment motion at the County Assembly went uncontroverted and unchallenged. As to the question of the Auditor General's report and whether it can form the basis of this impeachment, permit me to draw your attention to Article 10 of the Constitution, because that is a legal question. It lays down the national values and the principles of governance, which Article 10 provides that it binds all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever any of them applies or interprets the Constitution. And in this case, we are applying the Constitution and then the written law. One of the principles is the principle of accountability and the principle of transparency, the principle of the rule of law, the principle of good governance. When you go to the article establishing the office of the Auditor General, the Auditor General comes in to scrutinize and to lay effect to the implementation of Article 10, whether there was accountability, whether there was transparency, whether the rule of law was followed in public expenditure. Again, that must be read together with Article 201 of the Constitution that provides and lays down the principles on how public resources must be expended. One of the overriding principles is that there must be prudent utilization of the resources. And number two, honorable senators, is that when reading the Constitution, we must read it as a whole. Any article breathing life to the subsequent one. That is to mean, honorable senators, that if an office has been established by the Constitution, an office such as that of the Auditor General, it must be seen as a complementing office that is complementing the principles laid down under Article 10, pursuing the doctrine of transparency, the doctrine of accountability, the doctrine of the observation of the rule of law, the doctrine of good governance. That is to mean, honorable senators, when an issue has been raised in the...
Senator Christo, allow the council to conclude, then you can make your intervention. Yes, what is your issue, Senator Christo?
Thank you very much, Speaker, for allowing me to just make this quick comment. Speaker, you have given direction that we only have 30 minutes for this clarification session, and I believe that we are moving into an area where the Council is being allowed to re-prosecute his case by giving quite lengthy responses, and the rest of us have other clarifications we'd like to make. If it pleases the House, Speaker, and yourself, could the Council be guided to just make his responses brief so that we can get through more clarifications and not to re-prosecute his case? I thank you.
Council for the County Assembly.
Yes.
If I was wondering what kind of question you're responding to, because the question by the Senator for Nandi has no relationship with the lengthy statement you're giving. Be precise, just go straight to what you've been asked to clarify. And I'm giving you 2 minutes to conclude that.
I'm well guided, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, the answer is yes. The Auditor General reports can form the basis of impeachment because as under the time of the generation of that particular report, Article 229 requires the County Assembly to debate. After debating, that does not mean that it disposes of or waives the County Assembly's responsibility of oversight. It can form the basis of impeachment because an action must ensue and all follow from the findings of the county of the reports. It's not just a report that has to be done and be placed somewhere and gathers dust.
Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, and you know, just as a point, we have to move away from this Stone Age practice. I hope in the next impeachment process, we will go digital. This is unfair to the climate. Look at this, every senator will. Anyway, just a simple clarification, Mr. Speaker. Part of the documents I've spent a lot of time reading are documents from the public participation, because I wanted to hear what the people of Meru are saying, because this is about the people of Meru, Mr. Speaker.
and I'd refer the Council for the Assembly to their document, Volume 5, this very huge, voluminous document before us. Mr. Speaker, the reason I did this is I just wanted to understand, and I'll be satisfied if the Council can even just point me to any of the documents they have presented, because it will help me to form a correct opinion. Because listening to the Council yesterday in his opening remarks, he alluded to, and this has been captured as part of the documents they presented on page 11, 1334, on views of members of the public supporting notice of proposed motion to impeach Governor of the County Government of Meru, the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza. And one of the main issues that keeps coming up, I had the Council speak about it. I had the Honorable Member, I think Zipporah, the one who moved the impeachment motion, refer to it also yesterday, that the Governor is allegedly behind disunity problem, especially amongst the leaders of Meru, and the efforts, especially by Meru professionals during Cheke Council of Elders, and the clergy seem not to bear any fruits. That doesn't concern me much, because, you know, at leaders level, Mr. Speaker, there are many reasons why we disagree. But as an exit to this problem, last time we made our conversation, we had requested, just the last point, Mr.
Majority
Speaker.
Leader, you have not more than 2 minutes to seek the clarification.
The 12th paragraph of that process is that the Governor is alleged, paragraph 11, the Governor is alleged to frustrate the process of reconciliation between her, the Deputy Governor, and the MCAs. This featured prominently in their case and submissions. Is there any document that they can point out to us, Mr. Speaker, to confirm that indeed there have been efforts to do this, but the Governor specifically frustrated them? I'd be satisfied even if just told, go to this document and see this. Thank you.
County Assembly, 1 minute.
Thank you very kindly, the Majority Leader. The voluminous document that you see contains the report and the analysis that came or accrued from the processes of the public participation. We have voluminous evidence where the members of the County Assembly say that yes, there has not been fruitful results from the process or initiated for reconciliation. Some of them are yet to give us the reports. For example, the Nchorincheke that you referred to is yet to give its findings as to the current existing status, whether there has been reconciliation or not. In any case, Mr. Speaker, sir, the public participation is quite different, and the views of the public are quite different from the views of perhaps of those who may be wanting to reconcile. And reconciliation efforts perhaps may also be evidenced by the fact that I've noted in Governor's response that individuals have even moved the President, His Excellency the President, to dissolve the Meru County. That is the indifference. That is a conundrum, whether it should then be dissolved.
Within 3 months after receipt of an audit report, Parliament or the County Assembly shall debate and consider the report and take appropriate action. Do you have any report, maybe I missed it out, where the County Assembly of Meru debated on the Auditor General findings and took appropriate action so that we can be able to look into it? Or did you just take the Auditor General report and submitted it as part of your case? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
County Assembly, 1 minute.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker, sir. The witness who testified, one Irene, who is the window to the deceased, confirmed before the Assembly that there only existed one account, and as to whether the money that was being sent from abroad was ever uploaded to the same account. In her examination in chief, she led the House to the evidence that 115,000 shillings that had been generated found itself to the pay bill, and that you find it at page 3 301 of Volume 2, where all the money from that particular number, which was registered in the name of Judith, was eventually credited to the said account, and the credit is reflected as that of 115,000. And the number that was responsible for collecting of the 100,000 shillings, 1,015,000 shillings, appears on the governor's bundle of document labeled as Volume 1B, Volume 1B, at page 168, I beg your pardon, marked as KM20. The number is registered as that from those in diaspora sent to this number, that is 0720 103 913, registered in the name of Judith. That is the number reflected in our bundle of documents statement at page 301. So all the money had one centralized mechanisms of management and only one pay bill. We'll be asking her to give evidence as to the whereabouts of the other millions when her time comes. As the question of the Auditor General, whether it has been debated, the same was generated on the 20th of June 2024. And the motion before the Assembly is dated 31st of July. Debate is yet to take effect at the County Assembly. But the question is, was there a transgression that was notified or noticed by a constitutional organ? And if yes, how do we proceed to deal with that legal transgression?
Senator Omtata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise on the question of public participation. I've gone through the bundle, and I don't see any evidence that feedback was provided to the people who gave their views on either why they were accepted or rejected. And this is a standard that has been set by the courts, that there must be feedback to those who present their views. It's not like a census or something. So can the Land Council point me to any part of the evidence they have where they complied with the standard on feedback, on public participation, so that what they have submitted can be admissible as having met the threshold that has been set by the courts, especially in Civil Appeal number E003 of 2023. That's the National Assembly, and another versus Okio Mtato Koiti and 52 others. Thank you.
Proceed, Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I must thank the Senator for Busia for the well work done in contributing to the jurisprudence of this country, and especially the question of public participation, which is still a moot area with a lot of jurisprudences emerging, a challenge that also faces perhaps most of the government organizations on how to initiate it and how to get a feedback. I must admit that this is a recent ruling, judgment of the Court of Appeal, which is barely a month old, and therefore, and actually it was delivered on the 31st of July this year, when the motion was already in the County Assembly. So I believe that most of the organizations, including this Senate, is yet to adjust itself to meet the legal threshold as laid out by the Court of Appeal. Previously,
Senator, you've answered, Counsel. Senator Sige.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Yesterday, Speaker, the Council, through his witness-in-chief, played some videos. My questions are as follows. There was one video that depicted a scene whereby it looks like it was said to be the home of the witness-in-chief, and somebody was pouring petrol and then torched a fence on that property. My question is, who took that video? Is there any evidence showing the owner of the device that took that video? Because in the evidence, the witness-in-chief speaker said that the first person to have known that there was a fire on the property was the watchman who came running and then told others. So who took that video at that exact moment when the fire was when it was being torched? Second, Speaker, there was also 2 other videos where one, the witness-in-chief was doing a interview and spoke about grievances from farmers or about dead cows. The second was a news report talking about a lack of service delivery in a hospital where a lady was made to give birth outside of a hospital. Speaker, I wanted to find out if there are any supporting affidavits, if there are any reports, certified reports of the same 2 scenarios, which would give credence to the allegation of lack of service delivery in our batch of documentation. Lastly, on page 168, there is a number of an account, and I wanted to know whose it belongs to. It 0755. I forget the rest of the numbers. 60442. Can you please clarify whose that belongs to? Thank you.
County Assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The video that was played was captured by the CCTV footage at 3:48 a.m. It's evidence from the video supported by the affidavit of the mover, and the matter is still subject of these proceedings. The video on the evidence on the dead cows and the lack of services at the county government of Meru, the same is supported by the evidence and the affidavit of the mover annexed here too, and evidence has been laid in chief in that respect. And we have a certificate of electronic evidence produced in respect to that particular footage. On the question of the number, that is 0755560442, that is the number of the witness, or witness PW2, who happens to be the window to the deceased, the slain blogger Sniper. Yeah, and that is part and parcel of the number that forms the basis of the account.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, we shall now move to hear the case for the governor. Counsel for the governor, you have the floor. You have 4 hours to present your case. Those 4 hours do not include the time that the honorable senators will take to seek for clarifications.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you, distinguished senators. I stand here to seek your direction, Mr. Speaker, on time management so that we begin on a clear understanding. I make this request, Mr. Speaker, because of what transpired here yesterday. When the Assembly made their case, they spent 3 hours and 10 minutes on the evidence of their first witness, essentially leaving the official time of 4 hours with a balance of only 50 minutes. The net effect, Mr. Speaker, is that the governor's team was completely disadvantaged throughout yesterday, and I'm certain that the senators who were here last night could see how we struggled to wriggle within the limited time. We therefore beseech you that we give directions on time management, and we propose as follows, Mr. Speaker. We ended up using 6 hours yesterday for the witnesses for the Assembly. Out of these 6 hours, 2 were given to the governor's team with no opportunity for extension, and 4 hours and 10 minutes were given to the Assembly team. It therefore follows that the Assembly got 2/3 of the time yesterday, and the governor's team got 1/3 of the time yesterday. We beseech you that in tandem with the principle of equality of arms, the governor's team gets 2/3 of their time today, and the Assembly team gets 1/3 of the time today, in advance of commencement of the proceedings, so that every party decides how they want to use or play about with their time. And when they run out of their time, it is their own making and they take the consequences. If that direction finds favor with you, Mr. Speaker, sir, the 4 hours you have given us today translate to 240 minutes, 2/3 of which is 160 minutes. We urge that from the very outset, you direct that the governor's team has their 160 minutes, which they will decide how to use, and the assembly team has the balance, which translates mathematically to 1/3 of the 4 hours that you have given us today, and they will decide how to use it. So that if any party wastes time, they are wasting singularly their own time and not the adverse party's time. I make this plea, Mr. Speaker, precisely to underpin the principle of equality of arms, because the Hansard of this House will bear me out. The Assembly got 2/3 of yesterday's time. The governor's side got 1/3 of the time yesterday. Once you give that direction, Mr. Speaker, I will then give you how we intend to distribute our time and how we are going to go about calling our witnesses. I humbly submit.
Now, Counsel for the County Assembly, we need not debate on issues of time. You know exactly what happened yesterday?
Yes.
You were given 4 hours. You took 3 hours and 10 minutes.
I am on a different position that I also wish your guidance so that you can just do it
No,
smoothly.
on time, it's squarely in my hands. So
On time,
just
it's squarely
sit
on your
as I give
hands.
directions on
That's
the
correct, Lord. Yeah.
Please do. Take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, sir, yesterday proceedings, one Linda, who is a legal advisor, who was a legal advisor, alluded to a fact of forgery of her, a document that is purported to have been issued by her. Mr. Speaker, I'm making an application under Section 65 of the Evidence Act that for purposes of establishing the truthfulness or lack of it of that claim, which is grievous, that this Senate does order the bearer of this document, that is Governor Kawira, to produce the original copy of the same before the close of business so that we can have a look at it.
Counsel for the County Assembly, let us allow the governor to present her case,
Most obliged.
and then we will be able to handle each issue
I am well guided.
being raised
Most
at the
obliged.
time it's being raised.
Most obliged.
Counsel for the governor, you may proceed. Indeed, the County Assembly will have 1/3 of the time allocated, just like it happened yesterday. Proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I therefore be ceding ground to my colleague, Mr. Robert Mutembei, to put on the stand our first witness, Mr. Ibrahim Mutwiri Kerimi. I urge that the said witness be presented on the stand.
Mr. Speaker, as we wait for the witness to be brought in, for the record, my name is Robert Mutembei. I intend to take about 20 minutes on this witness.
Where is the witness? Sergeant at Arms, can you usher in the witness, please? Secretariat, may you administer the oath.
I, Ibrahim Motweri Keremis, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Ibrahim, could you kindly introduce yourself to the House?
My name is Ibrahim Motweri Keremi, the CC member, Finance, Economic Planning, and ICT, Meru County Government.
Mr. Ibrahim, kindly confirm that you wrote an affidavit that appears in support of the response of the governor, and that is your signature on the affidavit.
Yes, I do confirm that this is my affidavit signed by me in support of the governor of Meru County Government.
You wish to rely on this affidavit as your evidence before this House?
Yes, I do.
The affidavit is signed on 16th of August 2024. It appears from page 30 to 35 of volume 1 of the governor's response. Ibrahim, let's just go straight to what has brought you here in light of the time that we have. Have you read the impeachment motion that has been brought against the governor?
Yes, I have.
Specifically, have you read count 3, which largely talks about financial issues, most of which have been the subject of discussion yesterday and today morning?
Yes, I have, and particularly on manual payroll and alleged irregular payment of allowances to doctors.
Very well. So let's go to the motion, count 3. I just want you to look at the grounds under that count. The first one reads irregular payment of emergency call allowances to doctors and medical officers using the wrong rates, contrary to sections 45 and 46 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act and others mentioned there. And the second one reads use of manual payroll, contrary to section 6.7.6 of the County Financial Accounting Reporting Manual. The wordings of those grounds, do you recall where else they have been picked from?
Yes, Aideen, I can report that I have interacted with similar wordings that have been, this motion or these wordings have been picked directly from the office, the report of Auditor General for the Meru County Executive for the year 2022, financial year 2022-2023.
And the same report is also produced in the County Assembly Exhibit of Documents at page 347. So you confirm that you are saying that these very grounds that form part of count 3 have actually been plucked from the audit report in the same manner of wording?
Yes, the Auditor General report for the year, for the financial year 2022-2023.
So I want you to demonstrate that this audit report is not unique and doesn't raise unique issues. So people would be wondering, what is so wrong in this audit report? Are there peculiar issues in this report? So I want us to go to that report and particularly read for us the opinion of the Auditor General This report at page 341 of the Assembly documents, volume 2, page 341, sorry, it is at page 333. It starts at page 333 of volume 2, exhibits into support of the impeachment motion. So that is one of the major documents that has been submitted in support of the impeachment motion. But Ibrahim, I want you to go to page 341 and particularly read paragraph 2 that appears at the top of that page.
Yes, I will read. This is an opinion of the Auditor General that, in my opinion, except for the effect of the matters described in the basis for qualified opinion section of my report, the financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of Meru County Executive as at 30th June 2023, and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with international public sector accounting standards, that is cash basis, and comply with the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and the County Government Act 2012.
Okay, if you remember the wordings of the impeachment motion, you recall that the motion accuses the governor of violating those very laws that the Auditor General confirms that the county executive has complied with. Is that true?
True, that is very true.
Okay, perhaps you could enlighten this House on the nature of opinions that would ordinarily be rendered pursuant to an audit report.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. There are a number of audit opinions that an auditor may give, given the kind of a financial statement he or she has come across. One, there is unqualified report. Unqualified report means that the documents that have been provided and the financial statements do agree. Then the next is qualified report. Qualified report means that the documentation that has been provided and the financial statements do agree. However, there are just some minor items or matters within the report. Then there is adverse report. Adverse report means there are quite a number of issues that do not agree. The financial statement and also the documentation that has been provided.
Okay,
then
very well.
There is a disclaimer of opinion.
Okay, very well. Where does the opinion of the county executive fall?
It falls in the qualifying report, and I will also explain. If you go if you check the Green Book by the Auditor General for the year 2023, you will find by the county executives in Kenya, there are 47. There is no single county executive that has unqualified report. However, 41 county executives have qualified report, and 6 have adverse opinions. In our case, Meru County Executive has qualified audit opinion or audit reports.
And you confirm that Meru County is not one of those 6 which have adverse opinions?
It is not among them.
And have you had a chance to also review audit reports of the County Assembly of Meru for the current year, for the previous years? Do they form the same opinion, or
yes,
what is the nature of the
I have, and honorable senators and honorable speaker, if you check also from the Green Book for the county assemblies, County Assembly of Meru is within the qualifying reports. In Kenya, there are 3 county assemblies that have unqualified reports.
Okay,
however, County Assembly of Meru is in the qualifying report where the county executive of Meru is also in.
So, Ibrahim, what you are telling this House is that there is nothing unique about the report of the county executive of Meru.
There is nothing unique, and indeed, a qualifying report is, as I said, the documentation and the financial statements are agreeing.
Okay, very well. I want you to tell us what would have been the recommendation of the Auditor General if there was something so materially in breach of the law.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. An Auditor General, if there are particular substantive issues within, maybe within financial statements, he or she may recommend for a forensic audit. He may recommend either for a special audit, and if a county assembly committee or a Senate committee has considered those reports, may recommend for such change where there is a loss of money. They may recommend for particular, like investigative bodies to take up the matter, or they may also reprimand a certain officer for any matter, any omission or commission within the financial statements.
That satisfies it. So what you are saying is actually contained in the Public Audit Act, and I want you to just confirm that that is what you are saying at Section 53 and Section 54, and Section 37 also talks about forensic audit. So just confirm that what you are explaining is actually what is in the law.
That is very true, Council.
I want you to just confirm by looking at the Act, the Public Audit Act. Is that Section 54? What does it say? We can start with Section 53.
53, okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. Implementation of reports by an accounting officer, that is 53.1. The relevant accounting officer of a state organ or public entity shall, within 3 months after Parliament, has considered and made recommendations on the audit report, A, take the relevant steps to implement the recommendations of Parliament in the report of the Auditor General, or B, give explanations in writing to the Parliament on why the report has not been acted upon.
Okay, just stop there. Counsel for the Assembly started when he was answering the questions before the senators. I quote him, he said, action must ensue from the audit report. How does action arise from the audit report? Is that what you're reading at Section 53?
Yes, and these actions ensue from an audit report. I want to explain to Honorable Senate that an audit report by itself, it's not a final report. It must have, that is why a number of, the County Assembly or the Parliament must consider the recommendations or the opinion. In fact, the audit report is an opinion of the Auditor General. Why is it an opinion? It is an opinion because when the auditor was auditing the books, the time was limited. It was, in fact, the audit is just a sampling It's not a forensic or a complete audit. So there must be an event after the audit report for a complete investigation of matters where a number of them are dropped and other issues or other matters are taken up by other institutions.
So what you're saying is that the submission of the audit report in itself is not the end of the audit process.
Indeed, it is not, and that is what this provisions is putting.
Have you ever been summoned by the county assembly to shed light on the audit report?
For this particular audit report for the financial year 2022-2023, I have not.
Okay, very well. Let's go to the issues that have been raised in those two counts we have made reference to. There is the issue of the manual payroll. So why was there a manual payroll used for that period? Maybe you could explain very briefly what leads to the use of a manual payroll.
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Senators, a manual payroll means an individual has been paid outside the system, that is the automated system, or that is the IPPD. Okay, and so this happens.
Okay, go on.
It happens when an individual has been recruited before one is formally assigned the IPPD number, which does not end and finish with the county executive. Before he or she get that number, then he or she, for him or her to get that.
Just to cut you short, who gives the IPPD numbers?
It is given by the Directorate of Personnel Management in the Ministry of Public Service in the national government.
And have you produced evidence to show that the county executive actually applied for these numbers and how long it takes?
In fact, in the evidence that I have provided.
So, Honorable Senators, it is the evidence is in Volume 1B of the Governor's bundle of documents from page 190, page 183 to 184. From page 183 to 194. The documents contained in those pages, what do they show in summary? Very briefly, what do those documents reveal?
Okay, let me begin with page 183. It's KM28. It shows a request for personal numbers by the Department of Public Service of the County Executive of Meru, which was done on 11th December,
yes,
2023.
When was the response received?
Council and the honorable members of the Senate, 186, page 186, KM29, it indicates that this response was done or came back on 19th March 2024.
So what does that time, how many months are those? Okay, was it within a very short time?
No, it wasn't Council.
Okay, so you are essentially saying that it takes time.
It takes time, and also to explain a bit further, for these are the newly recruited officers. For the officers that are coming from other state agencies, it may even take a year or even more time, because for them to be cleared, for instance, if that officer under mortgage with the other institution, for them to release that data, it might take even a longer time.
Okay, very well. That supports your evidence on the delay. So tell us, have you addressed this issue elsewhere?
Yes, this matter was also in the audit report for the financial year 2021-2022, where the county executive appeared before the county public accounts committee of the Senate.
And did you write a response to the Senate on that very issue?
Yes, I wrote and even explained myself.
Yes, is it the response that appears on page 180 to 182 of volume 1B of the governor's documents? Page 180 to 182 of volume 1B of governor's documents. Is that the response you're talking about?
Very, very true. In fact, it begins with the invitation of it indicates.
We can leave the details, but I just wanted you to confirm that you actually were invited to by the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate.
Absolutely,
now,
so yes.
And what is the current status? Is that an issue in Meru County as we speak?
In fact, from the information and evidence, this matter has since been resolved from the 1st of April, 2024.
Okay, so, and 1st of April, that means that this issue was resolved even before the impeachment motion before this very House?
Absolutely so.
To the best of your knowledge, was the county assembly informed of this resolution of the manual payroll issue?
It wasn't, because this matter is appearing in the audit report for the financial. It's also appearing in the audit report for the financial year 2022-2023. If the Public Accounts Committee for the County Assembly, if they had invited the county executive to address these matters in the audit report, they would have certified themselves.
Okay, so you mean to say that this issue was resolved and it is the very issue that the Assembly wants the governor impeached on?
Very true.
And have you seen the issue elsewhere in the County Assembly?
Yeah, the County Assembly also, not only this matter, to explain, it's not a matter unique to only the County Executive of Meru. It is also a matter that also has appeared in the 2021-2022. If you peruse that audit report, you will find that the County Assembly of Meru and a similar issue.
Okay, so that appears at page 247 to 326 of volume 1B of the governor's documents. Now let us go to the issue of the doctors' pay. The governor has been accused of paying doctors' allowances illegally. And as you said earlier, that issue has been picked from the same audit report. Now, what was the basis of making this payment?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and honorable members of the Senate. This matter arose from a return to work formula it was an issue that arose. This formula, or the return to work formula, is dated 18th April 2017. There are correspondences that are made by the Ministry of Health concerning the matter, what they resolved, so and what they agreed. And so then the same is copied to the Council of Governors.
Okay, sorry to cut you short, but the correspondence you're talking about, is it the correspondence found in page 327 to 330 of volume 1B of Governor's documents? Is that the correspondence confirming that the County Assembly, the County Executive of Meru was actually within the law in making that payment?
Absolutely so.
So those are the documents that you wish to rely on to confirm that payment?
Very true.
Page 327 to 330 of volume 1B of the governor's documents. Okay, let us then move on to, but before we move on from there, so this issue that you are saying relates to payment of doctors relating to the CBA of 2017. Are you familiar with the recent developments relating to doctors' strikes and the implementation of this CBA?
Okay, let me make some explanation. It's a belief that, or it's a practice that a CBA runs for 4 years. However, if there is no other subsequent CBA, that similar CBA runs until another CBA is arrived at. The one that I'm aware of, there is in April, there was an agitation for improved remunerations to the medical field, and there was a return to work formula, and that CBA is the one that I can quote.
You are talking about the strike we saw recently.
Very true.
And the Assembly has also produced a video of doctors striking on basis of that very implementation of the CBA. Are you referring to that strike?
Yeah, the one that was agreed in April this 2024.
So do you find it in good faith that these two issues are being brought before this House to impeach the governor?
In fact, what I know, and it is an HR practice, is that once a benefit has been given or confirmed, you can't go back and retract that benefit unless it is done the same way that communication was done, or the SRC, which is a body that is taxed with the remunerations, also issues a notice. So what you would have seen is a similar communication, the way it was done to retract those benefits to the doctors.
Okay, very well. Let's go to the last issue. You have also mentioned in your affidavit that there were frustrations that the executive faced in coming up with the budget for 2024-2025. So very briefly, would you tell us why you wrote to the Controller of Budget? The letter that you wrote appears at page 344 of Volume 1B, page 344, Volume 1B of the Governor's document. So I want you to very briefly tell us why did you write that letter?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Senators. I wrote this particular letter when in our budgeting process, we made a CFSP as taxed by the PFM Act 2012. We submitted to the County Assembly, which then went beyond, and it went beyond the timelines that are set by the PFM Act. It went beyond other key considerations that are set by the legal provisions. So at that particular time, that is when I wrote to the Control Budget seeking an advice on those issues.
Okay, so the documents you've relied upon are from page 336 to page 344. So, has the County Assembly implemented the memorandum that was arrived at between the Executive, the Assembly, and the Controller of Budget?
It is important that I give some information to this Honorable House what happened.
For the sake of time, I just want you to confirm whether just very briefly explain what happened after you came up with the memorandum.
Okay. After coming up with a memorandum that was negotiated between the Assembly and the County Executive, we made a budget estimate because that memorandum was supposed to inform that budget estimate. The budget estimate was submitted to the County Assembly, which they approved as per the memorandum. However, after the approval of the budget estimate, then I was supposed to make or draft an appropriation act to appropriate that budget estimate, which I submitted to the County Assembly.
So after you submitted, did the Assembly change that appropriation bill?
In fact, what the County Assembly did went against the memorandum and went against the budget estimate that they had already adopted or approved.
So are the changes they made contained in Volume 1B, page 409 to 413 of the Governor's response? Volume 1B, page 409 to 413. You confirm those just briefly mention whether those are the changes that you are talking about.
In fact, these are the changes, and this you will see, it's an under paper, because I also wrote again to the control budget when I realized there's a business appearing in the under paper of the county assembly proposing to make amendments against the proposed memorandum and against the budget estimate that the county assembly and already.
Okay, very well. So just before we invite, before we let you off for the examination in chief, there were several comments made yesterday about service delivery of the governor. So can you just tell us briefly how is the governor's performance in terms of financial performance relating to development in the county?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members of the Senate. The performance of a governor can only be informed by the budgetary, how the governor has managed the budget through the report that has been produced by the control budget through the absorption rates. Currently, the Meru County government, this financial year, we have achieved 79% of performance in terms of budget absorption. Then, financial management. The only person who can be able to measure the performance or financial performance of a governor is the report of the Auditor General. The Auditor General's report that we have 2022-2023 confirms that the governor has transparently and prudently used utilized the finances of the funds of Meru County. Then number 3, on revenue performance, still it's another indicator of performance. The only report that we can rely on revenue performance is a report from the Commission on Revenue Allocation. We have not seen any adverse report from the CRA. We have not seen any adverse report from the control of budget. We have also not received any adverse report. What we have is a qualifying report from the Auditor General.
Okay, that would be all for this witness. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is that all for the witness?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
So we are proceeding on to cross-examination.
Yes, Madam Speaker. My name is Boniface Kawira. I'll not take more than 10 minutes with this witness.
You may proceed with the witness to answer the questions.
Madam Speaker, I'll seek your guidance because this is cross-examination and I put a yes-no question to him.
Let him respond.
He will have an opportunity during the examination to clarify anything that might arise out of cross-examination.
Proceed to respond to that question.
Okay. Council, the information relating here, it doesn't mean that this is just a background to show that this matter is not only unique to the county executive.
I appreciate that, Mr. Witness. I appreciate that, but my question is, this is for before the general elections of 2022, correct?
Correct.
And the evidence you've adduced, that is the report. You will turn with me to page 1B. The report therein also relates to the financial year 2021-2022.
For the county assembly?
Yes.
Yeah, for the 2 years.
For those 2 years?
Yes.
Before the life of the current assembly?
That is correct.
So, Mr. Ibrahim, is it your evidence then that the answer to that allegation by the governor is that 1, even the county assembly did it? Because that is what I'm getting. Is that your defense?
My purpose to
produce...
No
question. Is that your defense, that even the county assembly did it? Is that your defense?
That is not my defense.
Okay. Let us proceed. I'll take you to the letter at page 344 of the volume 1B, the governor's volume 1B, Madam Speaker. In fact, it is page 391, Madam Speaker. That is KM 49.
What page?
Page 391. Page 391, KM 49. You say there was a budget stalemate, correct?
True.
And you say that the county assembly, because you're writing to the clerk, you say they increased the ward fund from 33 million to 45 million, correct?
Correct.
Is that the position in the appropriations bill?
Okay.
This is a yes, no question.
I need to explain this one.
It is a yes, no question. What is the amount?
The context of
just
this.
wait for my question. Wait for my question.
Yes.
What is the amount in the appropriations bill that was passed by the county?
Currently, it is 36, and the agreed was 33. And then the context of this letter
wait for my question.
Is another paper.
Wait for my
and
question.
It shows what was supposed to be done there.
Sir, can you respond to the figures you're being asked?
Currently, it's 36 million.
36 million?
Yes.
Madam Speaker, that is the appropriations bill is in the County Assembly's documents, volume 6. Just a moment, Madam Speaker. At page 111, and I want you, Mr. Ibrahim, to confirm at page 111, the ward-based development projects. What is the total amount for each of them? The last column on the far right. What is the total amount?
33, is it? Okay.
What is the total amount? Is it not 33 million?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still maintain your answer that the correct amount is 36 million? Yes or no?
Okay, that's 3 million.
Okay. You concede that?
Yes.
One of the other contentions is that the County Assembly passed the appropriations bill and ignored the memorandum that was agreed at with the Office of the Controller of Budget, correct?
True.
One of the other issues you raise is that the CFSP was not passed within the necessary timelines.
It's true.
So is it your contention then, and this is a yes-no question, that if a CFSP, if the county fiscal strategy paper is not passed within the 14 days, then the executive can proceed to implement the same without the county assembly approval?
That is not so, and that is why I saw an explanation or an advice from the control budget.
So, even if the 14 days had lapsed, the county assembly could proceed to consider and make amendments as allowed under section 117 of the
I sought an advisory and we were guided.
So you agree then that the county assembly could still, after the 14 days, consider the CFSP and pass it with amendments?
The guidance from the control budget, there is a letter there, and they have been told.
It's a yes-no question.
They were
Would the county executive proceed to implement it without county assembly approval? Yes or no?
What? Come again?
Could the county executive or the treasury that you had, correct? Yes. Could it proceed with the CFSP without county assembly approval?
No, it couldn't.
So the county assembly approval was necessary even after the lapse of 14 days?
And that is why we were advised by the control budget The county assembly was on wrong, but we were told for us to move. It was a stalemate. We need to come and agree together.
Because the law allows that the county assembly can make amendments, correct?
In fact,
yes or no?
The law says
and the county assembly make amendments to the CFSP.
It can make.
So
however,
what is it? Wait for my question. If the county assembly could make amendments to the CFSP, and indeed they made those amendments, why did the county executive bring those budget estimates without considering the amendments that have been done by the county assembly?
There was a contention one. That is why.
You agree there was a contention from both parties?
Yes, from both parties.
Contention by both parties.
Ours was on the timelines. I need
for my question.
Honorable members, I need to explain because this is an
You'll have an opportunity. You'll have an opportunity, Mr. Witness. A contention by both parties.
By both parties, yes.
So you will agree then that this deadlock was caused by the actions or inactions by both parties?
Majorly by the county assembly.
Granted.
You breached the county assembly breached the timelines.
Just wait for a question.
Among other provisions of the law.
Wait for my question. Do you have evidence that the entire budget for 2024-2025, the 12 billion, was subjected to public participation? Do you have that evidence in your volume?
Okay, the budget.
Yes or no?
Public participation, that is subjective.
The witness.
Do you have the evidence?
Witness, you are
okay.
You are required to respond to the question he has asked about public participation. I believe that's one question that can be a yes or no.
Yes, there's an evidence towards that.
Point me to the evidence. Point me to that evidence in your bundle.
I think I need to be assisted.
Your volume 1B, you have your volume 1B there. Point me to the evidence that you conducted public participation for the entire 12 billion.
The county executive?
Yes.
Council, your 10 minutes are over, but you have the discretion to use more minutes from your allocated timeline of 1 hour, 20 minutes.
Very well. I leave it at that for this witness, Madam Speaker. We can take the next witness. Or they can, I will lead the witness for
Do you want
exam.
more minutes?
No, I think it is okay for this witness.
Madam Speaker, I will take 2 minutes just for re-exam. Ibrahim, you have been tasked to explain the deadlock that was there between the county assembly and the county executive. Did you write a letter to the controller of budget complaining of the actions of the county assembly?
Yes, I did.
And have you produced that letter in your bundle of documents?
Yes, in fact, in several letters, not just one.
So the letters that you said fall from page 336 to 344 of volume 1B of the governor's documents?
Yes, Council.
So was there a legal basis for you to complain to the controller of budget?
Yes, several. Like the timelines and other key considerations.
Now, have you detailed those complaints in your letter?
Yes, they are detailed.
And you would invite the members of this House to have a look at that letter to appreciate the basis on which you are complaining?
True, Council.
And my last question, did you experience demonstration of good faith from the Assembly after the issue was mediated by the controller of budget?
Yes. One is when
Did the county assembly show good faith following the conclusion of the memorandum that you drafted, following the intervention of the controller of budget?
It didn't.
Why are you saying so?
Because up to the budget, we went on very well. Then immediately after the budget, when we went for the appropriation bill, that is where things turn west. Because one, they went against the memorandum, and then number two, they took along almost 2 weeks before considering that appropriation.
So you invite this House to have a look at the documents you have tendered in support of that claim, to
True.
appreciate your evidence. True. Okay, that should be all, Madam Speaker, for this witness. Thank you.
Thank you. So, honorable senators, we have this witness, and I have several requests to seek clarifications. We should use the least time to get clarifications from this witness. Senator Mutinda Tabitha Murray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I wanted to really clarify, and as a speaker, I'm the Vice Chair of Finance Committee. You raised a point and said that CRA did not raise any audit issues or concerns in terms of if the audit was qualified or had any advanced reports. I mean, to your knowledge, does CRA do audit reports? Second question, have you ever been summoned by the PAC committee? And lastly, are you a member of ISPAC by any chance? And in finality, we have the CRF, not the CRF, but the County Revenue Fund, whereby issues have been raised in terms of the composition of the committee. And clause 6 of your act of the county revenue, the fund, indicates that there needs to be a chairperson for that committee to be able to execute its mandate. So how are funds, allocated, how are funds approved without the composition correctly of the said committee? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You will proceed to respond.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members of the Senate. I want to clarify that I didn't say that CRA or Commission on Revenue Allocation ought to have made a report maybe on audit to say whether there was an adverse or not. What I said is Commission on Revenue Allocation makes reports on performance on revenue, whether a county has performed fairly or is the potential is its performance in terms of revenue, but not audit. So what I said is the performance of revenue collection can be well indicated or shown by the reports from the Commission on Revenue Allocation, because once in a while they say that County X did not meet its revenue thresholds or it performed poorly. However, it is not an OAG report. It's a report from the Commission on Revenue Allocation, and it is available on the Commission's website and portal. Then, number two, whether I've ever been invited by the Audit Committee. The PAC Committee, the County Public Accounts Committee of the Senate, yes, invited us in, not very sure, but July, and we appeared. In July, we appeared, and on the audit of 2021-2022, I appeared. Then, yes, I'm a member of ISPAC. I'm a member in good standing. Okay. The transfer to the Meru County Revenue Authority, that transfer, the money that is transferred to that board, it is from the main revenue of the county after that money has been budgeted and has been approved. And that still money is also audited by the Auditor General on its prudence and how, how it has been accounted for. So it is transferred from the Meru county revenue to revenue allocation to that to maintain its operations, because the authority is supposed to be self-sustaining. However, at the moment it isn't, so we transfer some money to the board. Yes.
Senator Wambua Enokio, what's your intervention?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two very quick interventions. One, just for clarity. Witness said at some point things turned west. I would want to understand when the things turned west, where are they heading? You know, what you say there is the only thing that we can use to make a decision. So I would want clarification when things turned west. Where are they going? Secondly, Madam Speaker, more substantively, there has been reference to the auditor report of 2022-2023. And the witness did well when he made reference to Article 2298 on the processing of auditor reports. That those reports cannot be used as material evidence in any proceeding until and unless they are considered by the Assembly and Parliament. But then he went ahead and made serious submissions on the basis of the audit report of 2022-2023. So where should we stand? Should we stand on the basis that we cannot make reference to 2022-2023, and in which case then dismiss everything that you have said about your standing? Or should we take what you have said as part of evidence in these proceedings?
Respond, witness.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. My reference to things turning west is in relation to the budgeting process, because we had a negotiating team that was that was superintended by the Office of the Control Budget, and one of the recommendations she had made is, after coming up with a memorandum, that memorandum becomes or forms the basis of our budget making. So that is where things, that is in as far as the budget making process is concerned. That is where I've said things stand west. Then I've referred to Auditor General report. To Auditor General's report 2022-2023, I'm not saying that it should not be referred to. What I'm only saying is, for this matter that is before the Senate on impeachment, if it would have been addressed in the committee of the PAC of the County Assembly of Meru, a number of things like Manyopero would not have found itself here. Because in that committee, we would have explained what we've done and the materiality of that matter, because we would have explained that this money that was paid through the manual payroll is money that has been budgeted, money that has been liquidated to the control budget, and money that has been paid to individuals. It is not money that has found its way to other people, but you could even find the bank account. So it's not a material thing that should have even brought even an HR person to be reprimanded because of that, because it is a matter that is not so material. However, that is how I have referred to the Auditor General. So a report, I have not said it shouldn't be refined, but for an impeachment, impeachment motion, I think if this matter was addressed at the PAC committee, they would even have gotten more information and more materials to support or not to support.
Senator Cherarike Samson Kiprotich.
Madam Speaker, and I request the witness to be very brief. Mr. Witness, CPA, what is your ISPAC number? Number one. Number two, when you say CPA is 4 years, what is the legal authority or the policy of labor relations to give weight for you to say it stands 4 years? Number three, you have said that the spending of doctors' payment was within the legal authority and the CPA. My question is, how much was the budget in that financial year? If it was not there as a CPA, you know if there is a allocation as the PMF Act envisages, whether that reallocation was sought. And number three, whether supplementary budget was sought to effect those changes. And finally, in 1B, the memo that you are provided is unsigned. It is signed by only the chair. So how can we trust in this volume 1B, Madam Speaker, that memo that had been signed the engagement, the part of secretary and chairman is not signed, nor is it stamped? Is it an authentic document that you will want to present to this House for proper consideration, considering that what the House is considering, Madam Speaker, is a very serious issue? Madam Speaker, if you can answer those 4 questions, I'll be grateful.
You may proceed to answer those questions.